The city's pulse, a dull thrum against your window, usually offered a perverse comfort. But this morning, even the distant wail of a siren felt like a personal affront. You sat in the pale pre-dawn light, the bitter warmth of coffee a fleeting illusion in your cupped hands. The quiet held a brittle edge, a premonition that clung to the air like static. Your determined gaze, etched with years of grim discoveries, scanned the unread headlines, seeking a distraction from the gnawing stillness within. Then the phone shrieked, a jarring clamor that shattered the fragile peace. You didn't need to check the caller ID. The urgency in its tone was unmistakable. Blake, your voice, gravelly from disuse, cut through the receiver's crackle. They're gone. The CEO vanished. The voice on the other end, a junior investigator, breathless and tight, painted a stark picture before any details emerged. No forced entry, no ransom note, just empty. You felt the familiar tightening in your gut, a cold knot of anticipation that always preceded the hunt. A high-profile target like this, a tech titan whose innovations shaped the digital landscape, didn't simply evaporate. This wasn't a snatch and grab. This felt like something else entirely. Send the location. I'm on my way. The drive was a blur of early morning streets, the city gradually shedding its nocturnal shroud for the relentless grind of day. The address led you to a monolithic structure of steel and smoked glass, a beacon of corporate power nestled in the financial district. This was no ordinary office building. This was the offshore law office with shred bins and locked safes, a fortress designed for discretion and impenetrable secrets. The air around it hummed with a different kind of tension now, a frantic energy emanating from the cluster of patrol cars and uniformed officers already gathered. You strode past the perimeter, your trench coat a familiar silhouette against the emerging light, a silent promise of methodical pursuit. The lead detective, a burly man named Miller whose face bore the permanent creases of too many late nights, met you at the entrance. His usual gruff demeanor was replaced by a bewildered frown. Blake, glad you're here. This one, it's clean. Too clean. His words, clipped and heavy, echoed the junior investigator's earlier assessment. Inside, the silence was profound, broken only by the hushed movements of forensic technicians. The CEO's corner office, sprawling and meticulously arranged, offered a panoramic view of the waking city. Yet, your eyes were drawn not to the vista, but to the room's unsettling order. A half-finished cup of herbal tea sat cooling on a polished glass desk, a single pen resting beside an open, unsullied notepad. The chair was pushed in neatly, as if its occupant had simply risen for a moment and would return. No overturned furniture, no scuff marks on the pristine marble floor, no sign of a struggle, not even a faint whisper of a disturbance. You knelt, your gloved fingers tracing the edge of a Persian rug, then running lightly over the smooth, unblemished surface of the desk. Every object seemed to be exactly where it should be, an almost theatrical presentation of normalcy. Routine late-night work, apparently. No one saw him leave. Security footage from the garage is blank for a critical 10-minute window just after midnight. Miller rubbed a hand over his tired face. Convenient, isn't it? Your gaze drifted towards a bank of imposing locked safes built into the far wall, their polished surfaces reflecting the room's stark emptiness. Beside them, a pair of large industrial-grade shred bins stood silent, their gaping mouths offering no hint of their recent consumption. You walked over, running a finger along the cool metal of one safe. It was still secured. Have they been checked? Forensics is working on it. The CEO's personal assistant has the combination, but she's unreachable so far. Probably on a private jet somewhere, blissfully unaware, Miller replied, his voice laced with frustration. You didn't respond, your attention caught by a faint, almost imperceptible scent in the air. A metallic tang, like ozone after a lightning strike, but subtly different. It wasn't blood nor cleaning solution. You moved slowly, methodically, your eyes dissecting every inch of the space. On a small, minimalist side table, nestled amongst a collection of abstract art books, a single, perfectly spherical glass paperweight sat. It was slightly askew, perhaps a millimeter off its usual alignment. An insignificant detail to most, but to your honed senses, it was a discordant note in an otherwise flawless symphony of order. "Anything from the shred bins?" you asked, your voice low. "Nothing out of the ordinary, just standard office waste." "We're sifting through it, but it's a mountain of paper," a forensic technician chimed in, without looking up from a desk drawer he was meticulously examining. You stared at the paperweight. It was an anomaly in a room that screamed, "Nothing happened." This wasn't a crime of passion, nor a messy abduction. This was an act of precision, a vanishing act meticulously choreographed. The lack of struggle wasn't just unnerving, it was insulting. It suggested a level of control, a confidence so absolute it bordered on arrogance. The tech CEO hadn't been taken, he had been erased. Not the metallic tang of fear, nor the acrid bite of gunpowder, but something else entirely. A ghost of citrus and something sharp, like ozone after a storm, clinging to the polished air of the executive suite. You inhale again, a slow, deliberate draw, trying to anchor the elusive aroma, but it dissipates, leaving only the sterile chill of the conditioned air. A peculiar note in a scene of forced entry. Miller, the forensic lead, watches your strange absorption, a furrow deepening between his brows. "Anything, Blake?" he asks, his voice cutting through the quiet hum of the building's ventilation. You shake your head, the scent already a phantom. "Just a feeling," you murmur, turning your attention back to the shattered remains of the CEO's office door. The frame, a sturdy mahogany, splintered with an almost artistic precision, not a brute force demolition. The initial assessment painted a picture of frantic ransacking, yet the deeper you looked, the more a meticulous pattern emerged. Papers scattered, yes, but not haphazardly. Drawers pulled, but nothing truly overturned. It felt staged, a performance of chaos. "Forensics is still processing," Miller reports, gesturing to his team, who move with the quiet efficiency of trained shadows. No viable prints on the doorframe despite the splinters. No boot prints in the dust, no fibers, no stray hairs. It's almost too clean, synthetic high-denier nylon. Could be from a bag, a utility vest, common enough. Common, yet in this context it felt like a deliberate misdirection. A single generic clue in a vacuum of absence. You move to the large steel safe recessed into the wall, its heavy door still stubbornly shut. "Any luck with the personal assistant?" Miller sighs, running a hand over his close-cropped hair. The assistant's phone is off. Her apartment is empty. She flew out of the country on a private charter yesterday afternoon, according to the airport manifest. Her itinerary had her returning next week. She's completely off the grid. So, no combination. You state, your gaze fixed on the dial. The absence of the assistant, the lack of immediate access to the safe, another thread in the carefully woven tapestry of inconvenience. You lean closer, examining the safe's surface. No scratches, no pry marks, no signs of an attempt to force it open. This wasn't about the contents of the safe yet, not directly. This was about control. A junior analyst, hunched over a laptop, calls out, "Blake, I've got something. The CEO's digital calendar. A recurring, unscheduled meeting. Every third Tuesday, 2 p.m. Location listed as The Vault. No address, just that name. And it's always followed by a transaction record. A wire transfer of a significant sum to a holding company in the Caymans. The Vault," you repeat, the name echoing in the quiet office. A deliberate veil. Dig deeper. Find the holding company's registration. Trace the funds. Any other digital anomalies? Just the usual encrypted communications with various corporate entities. The analyst replies, typing furiously. But one recent email stands out. Encrypted, Sent to an anonymous address, subject line, Final Review, Project Chimera, sent just hours before his disappearance. Project Chimera. The name alone prickled at your senses. You knew instinctively this was no random act. The calculated precision, the ghost-like disappearance of evidence, the elusive assistant, the cryptic digital breadcrumbs, it all pointed to a mind operating on a different plane. The building stood like a concrete monolith, sterile and imposing, nestled amongst other financial fortresses. Inside, the receptionist, a woman with eyes that seemed to have seen too much and remembered too little, confirmed the CEO was a client. He held a number of accounts here, she stated, her voice devoid of inflection. But his primary file was accessed and closed yesterday. Standard procedure. Closed by whom? You press, your voice a low rumble. She consulted a ledger. By his designated legal proxy as per the standing agreement. And who is that? The personal assistant, she replied, her gaze unwavering. The assistant, unreachable, had already moved to tie up loose ends. This was not a simple abduction. This was an unraveling. You requested access to the office where the CEO's files were kept, and the receptionist, after a brief, unenthusiastic phone call, granted it. The office was sparsely furnished, a desk, 2 chairs, and a large industrial-grade shred bin overflowing with thin strips of paper. The scent of shredded pulp hung heavy in the air. On the desk, a small, polished wooden box. You open it. Empty. No trace of what might have been there. The files, the paper trail, meticulously destroyed. The shred bins were a testament to efficiency, to an operation designed to leave no trace. Every locked safe in the office was still secured, their contents untouched, irrelevant. Back at headquarters, you stand before the superior, a man whose face was a roadmap of past frustrations and bureaucratic battles. Sir, the precision, the lack of forensic footprint, the preemptive shredding of documents, it's too clean, too professional. It feels like a surgical strike, designed to erase a presence, not just extract a ransom. The superior listens, his expression unreadable, his fingers tapping a rhythmic pattern on his desk. Blake, we have a missing CEO, a high-profile individual. We have a ransacked office. We have a missing assistant. These are classic indicators of an abduction, perhaps with a touch of corporate espionage. You're talking about phantom scents and surgical strikes with no hard evidence to back it up. Your gut feelings are not admissible in court. His voice, though calm, carried the weight of dismissal. Focus on the facts. Find the assistant. Find the CEO. Don't chase ghosts. You meet his gaze, your own unwavering. You knew with a certainty that settled deep in your bones that this case was unlike any other, and the true master of this game was only just beginning to reveal their hand. You meet his gaze, your own unwavering. They were whispers of a meticulously crafted design, a puzzle with pieces scattered across a landscape of carefully managed chess game, and you were just beginning to see the board. The forensics team, a methodical ballet of gloved hands and flashing cameras, still moved through the sterile space. Each secured hard drive, each dust print lifted, each fiber collected felt less like an answer and more like another layer of the enigma. You had stood by the heavy, vault-like door, its lock unmolested, its integrity a silent testament to an invisible key. No forced entry, no struggle, just a perfect, clean sweep. Your mind, a relentless engine, churned through the details, attempting to find a snag, a rough edge in the polished execution. But there was nothing. Only the unsettling smoothness of a plan flawlessly enacted. You ran a hand over the cool steel of a massive shred bin, its maw gaping, empty. What had been destroyed here? What secrets had turned to confetti? A call broke the quiet hum of your thoughts. Your mobile vibrated, a jolt against your hip. It was a colleague, his voice tight, a hint of frustration lacing his words. Blake, you're not going to believe this. Another one. Odd. The local detective is tearing his hair out. Says it's a glorified nuisance, but the way it was done. The colleague paused, searching for the right words. Too clean for what they took. Or rather, what they didn't take. Details, you demanded, already moving towards the exit. The sterile air of the law office clinging to your clothes. A small-time data farm. Stores historical meteorological data for agricultural research. Obscure, low-value stuff. Someone bypassed their entire network security, including a custom-built firewall, to access the 1998 rainfall records for the Pacific Northwest. That's it. Nothing else touched. No financial data, no client lists, nothing sensitive. The mention of custom-built firewall snagged your attention. It was a fleeting detail, easily dismissed by anyone not intimately familiar with the nuances of high-level network security. But you remembered a conversation, a casual remark from the missing CEO during a charity gala a year ago, about his company's pioneering work in bespoke security protocols, specifically mentioning a project that used an unconventional legacy-compatible approach to protect seemingly innocuous but historically valuable datasets. It's been operating under the radar for years. The local patrolman who found it thought it was a prank. The server room door was wide open, no signs of forced entry, but the system logs show a remote intrusion, highly sophisticated. The only physical trace is a single, almost imperceptible scorch mark on the floor beneath the main server rack, like a brief, intense electrical surge. A scorch mark, and the pinpoint targeting of obscure, non-valuable data. It wasn't about the value of the data taken, but the act of taking it and the specific method employed. You were in your car within minutes, the engine roaring to life, the city lights blurring into streaks of color as you navigated the evening traffic. The address your colleague had given you was etched in your mind. The local detective, a gruff man named Miller, was already there, his broad shoulders slumped in exasperation as you approached the converted factory. "Blake," Miller grunted, running a hand through his thinning hair. "Glad you're here. Maybe you can make sense of this carnival act. Someone goes to all that trouble for old weather reports? My officers are laughing about it." You surveyed the scene, your gaze sweeping over the open server room door, the faint, acrid smell of ozone still lingering in the air. The internal lights of the server racks cast an eerie blue glow. "Show me the scorch mark," you instructed, ignoring Miller's dismissive tone. Beneath a humming rack, almost hidden by trailing cables, was a small, circular mark, no larger than a coin. It was a perfect circle, the concrete slightly discolored, as if seared by a focused beam. "Forensics thinks it was a localized EMP burst," Miller explained. "But why? To disable a specific component without tripping alarms? Seems like overkill for a bunch of glorified spreadsheets." You knelt, tracing the perimeter of the mark with a gloved finger. An EMP burst, and the specific type of data, the custom firewall. It clicked, a tiny, almost imperceptible tumblers falling into place in your mind. The CEO, Blake, had always been obsessed with the vulnerabilities of invisible data, the kind no one bothered to protect because its perceived value was so low. He had even theorized about a method to exploit such systems using highly localized energy pulses to bypass standard electronic countermeasures. "It's not overkill, Miller," you murmured, standing slowly. Your eyes narrowed, the vast expanse of the city outside suddenly feeling smaller, more connected. "It's a signature, and it's a message." Miller scoffed. "A message about 1998 rainfall? Who's the target audience for that?" You didn't answer him directly. Two separate incidents, miles apart, seemingly unrelated. Yet, a thread, thin as a spider's silk, was beginning to weave between them. A specific kind of technical expertise, a meticulous nature, an obsession with the obscure. This wasn't a random act. This was a deliberate stroke, another piece placed on the board of that complex chess game. And the player was someone who understood the value of what others deemed worthless. Someone who knew how to make a statement without leaving a trace, save for a scorch mark and a missing CEO. This wasn't just about a missing person anymore. It was about something far more intricate, far more dangerous. You stood by the precinct's worn whiteboard, the ghost of the previous chapter's ending whispering in your ear. That thread, thin as a spider's silk, was no longer merely weaving. It was tightening, pulling at something deep within your intuition. The colleague, a younger officer with an earnest gaze, cleared his throat beside you. "Blake, you've been staring at those reports for an hour. Anything jump out?" You turned, your eyes still distant, fixed on the invisible lines connecting the two incidents. "Jump out? No, it's too smooth." Your voice was a low rasp, a sound of gravel on glass. The CEO's penthouse, the lack of forced entry, the precise removal of his personal devices. Every digital trace wiped, every physical document accounted for, then systematically shredded. Not a single stray paperclip, not a smudged fingerprint. You gestured to the crime scene photographs pinned beside the missing CEO's profile. "Look at the office. The security footage shows nothing. No break-in, no forced access. Just an empty shell, meticulously stripped of its digital soul." The colleague frowned, tracing a finger over a photo of a pristine, empty server rack. Forensics said it was a professional job, high-grade data erasure. But the CEO's disappearance? That's a different league, isn't it? Not just data. Is it? You challenged, your gaze sharpening. Think about the CEO, a titan of data, a master of digital empires. What is a person, in this age, without their digital footprint, without their communications, their financial records, their very online identity? You walked closer to the whiteboard, picking up a dry erase marker. At the CEO's penthouse, the absence was deafening. No struggle, no forced entry. Every server, every hard drive, every cloud account scrubbed. Not just deleted, but erased, with an almost surgical precision that baffled the digital forensics unit. You drew a line between the CEO's face and the image of the law office. Same precision, same surgical eradication of data. The physical space was left undisturbed, almost reverent in its emptiness. The shred bins were full, yes, but the method of shredding, the type of shredder used, the systematic destruction of specific documents. It's a signature. The colleague leaned in, his brow furrowed in concentration. A signature? It's the philosophy behind the act. The absolute unyielding commitment to leaving no trace. Not just cleaning up, but sanitizing. Erasing the very possibility of retrieval. Standard criminals leave digital breadcrumbs, even the smart ones. They make mistakes. They leave echoes. You tapped the whiteboard, a sharp, decisive sound. Here, there are no echoes. At the penthouse, the digital forensics team noted a specific, highly advanced data wiping protocol. They called it military grade, but even that felt inadequate. It wasn't just about making data unrecoverable. It was about ensuring its very existence was forgotten. A digital ghosting. You pointed back to the law office. The shredding wasn't just cross-cut, it was micro-cut, then incinerated. The ashes meticulously collected, then dispersed. A chemical agent? For paper? Forensics only caught it because of a trace on the air filtration system. They thought it was an anomaly, a fluke. But it's not. You stated, your conviction hardening. It's the same obsessive drive for absolute erasure. The same almost artistic dedication to unmaking something. At the CEO's, it was his digital identity. This wasn't just a meticulous planner. This was someone with a profound understanding of how to vanish, how to erase existence itself. And the target wasn't just the CEO's life, but the very scaffolding of his identity. The common denominator, you articulated, the words tasting like metal on your tongue, isn't a physical object. It's the methodology of comprehensive obliteration. The systematic, multi-layered destruction of all data, both digital and physical, pertaining to a specific individual or entity. It's a signature of utter, absolute erasure. a ghost maker. You looked at the colleague, then back at the stark images on the board. This wasn't about theft. It wasn't about a simple kidnapping. This was about making a person and everything they represented disappear without a trace. Not just from the world, but from the records, from the very fabric of existence. This level of precision, this almost poetic commitment to absence, felt disturbingly familiar. The puzzle pieces were beginning to fit, but the picture they formed was far more sinister than you had ever imagined. This wasn't about theft. It wasn't about a simple kidnapping. This was about making a point. A meticulous, cruel declaration etched across the city's underbelly. A message only you were beginning to decipher. The images on the board, stark and silent, seemed to shift, their emptiness deepening into a chasm. The siren's lament, a ragged tear in the pre-dawn quiet, pulls you from the half-formed thoughts of the previous night. Another call. Not a whisper this time, but a scream echoing from the heart of financial secrecy. The streetlights bleed a weak, jaundiced light onto wet asphalt as you navigate the city's waking arteries. A sense of acceleration grips you, a tightening coil in your gut. The game, it seems, has just ratcheted its tension. Yet inside, a different story unfolds. Uniformed officers move with the hushed reverence of a funerary procession, their voices low, their movements careful not to disturb the delicate architecture of a scene. This wasn't the violent chaos of a smash and grab. This was something surgical, something precise. The council, a woman whose usual composure was a fortified wall, now sat slumped in her ergonomic chair, a fragile vessel emptied of its formidable contents. Her eyes, usually sharp blades, were dulled, reflecting the sterile gleam of the fluorescent lights. They knew. They didn't take anything obvious. No cash, no valuables, just information. And her. He gestures vaguely to the council. They didn't harm her physically, but they broke her. You approach the council, your presence a quiet anchor in the eddy of her distress. What did they want? Your voice, a low current, asks. The off-books ledgers. What codes? What sequences? Your eyes trace the contours of the room. A single desk lamp remains lit, casting a harsh circle on a scattered array of documents. The shred bins stand ironically almost full, a testament to the daily obliteration of secrets. But these secrets, the ones they sought, were not meant for the shredder. They were meant for leverage. You move slowly, methodically, your senses attuned to the faintest discord. The file cabinet drawers are not violently pried, but meticulously opened, their contents disturbed with an almost artistic precision. A single leather-bound journal, conspicuously untouched, rests on a cleared section of the desk. Too clean, too obvious. Your gaze drifts, a restless seeker over the disarray. A drawer pulled slightly ajar, not violently forced, but opened. And there, securing a bundle of innocuous-looking files within, a knot. This was a carrick bend, meticulously tied, almost elegant in its complexity. A sailor's knot, intricate and resolute, out of place in this sterile legal fortress. It held the files with a strength disproportionate to their apparent value, a silent declaration of skill. The carrick bend, a specific hand, a specific lesson. His lesson. The world tilts, the fluorescent hum of the office fading into a distant echo. The ghost, the one from your past, the one who taught you the precise art of securing a line, of making something unbreakable, the one whose name you rarely spoke, whose memory you had meticulously buried under layers of time and duty. He used this knot. He reveled in its strength, its beauty. He saw it as a signature. This wasn't just about the CEO. It wasn't just about information. The precise nature of the infiltration, the specific data extracted, the undisturbed journal, all of it coalesced into a terrifying clarity. He wasn't just playing a game. He was playing your game, using your past as the board. The stakes, once abstract and professional, now writhed with a visceral, personal horror. You were no longer merely an investigator. You were a target. And the game had only just begun. The single desk lamp, a solitary sentinel, carves a harsh circle on the scattered documents, its light mercilessly exposing the dust motes dancing in the still air. The air here carries the faint metallic tang of old security, a scent that clings to forgotten ledgers and the polished surfaces of locked compartments. This isn't just an office. It's a vault, a repository of hushed transactions and conveniently erased histories. You move with the predatory grace of a hunter, your focus unwavering. The CEO's disappearance, a phantom limb of a crime, pulses beneath the surface of your thoughts, driving your every meticulous action. Each drawer slides open with a whisper of protest. Each folder yields its contents to your searching eyes. The shred bins, overflowing with their confetti of discarded data, offer no solace. They are monuments to what was destroyed, not what was preserved. Your fingers, calloused from years of prying secrets from the reluctant grip of the world, trace the seams of the desk, feeling for anomalies, for the telltale give of a hidden compartment. A micro SD card, no bigger than your thumbnail, secured with a strip of industrial-grade tape. A tremor, not of fear but of pure, unadulterated anticipation runs through you. This isn't a careless oversight. It's a deliberate, desperate act of preservation. The data unfolds, line by encrypted line. It's not a confession, not a direct link to the CEO, but a ledger. A ledger not of money, but of influence. Shell corporations, front companies, political donations funneled through layers so intricate they would make a spider dizzy. Each entry is a thread, weaving into a vast, intricate tapestry of control. The CEO's name, when it finally appears, is just one among many, listed as a resource acquisition target. Not a victim, but a commodity. The sheer scale of it tightens your jaw. This isn't corporate espionage. It's an ecosystem of manipulation. This organization, unnamed but undeniably present, possesses resources that dwarf anything you've encountered before. It's a ghost in the machine, a silent hand guiding the levers of power. Your hand instinctively drops to the worn grip of your service weapon. You are not alone. The low hum of the building's ventilation system seems to amplify the quiet creak of floorboards. A sound you know isn't your own. A figure emerges from the gloom, silhouetted against the fainter light of the corridor. It's the building's night guard, his uniform crisp, his posture too rigid for a simple watchman. He's not just a guard. He is an enforcer, a secondary antagonist in this unfolding drama, a loyal cog in the machine you're trying to dismantle. You're not supposed to be here, Blake. The guard's voice is a low rumble devoid of inflection. He knows your name. This organization doesn't just react. It anticipates. Just following a lead, you reply, your voice calm, belying the surge of adrenaline. You keep your eyes locked on his, assessing, calculating. He doesn't draw a weapon immediately, a subtle detail that suggests he's under orders not to cause a scene. Not yet. The micro SD card, the resource acquisition target, the guard who knows your name. The CEO wasn't just disappeared. He was integrated or neutralized by an entity that operates with surgical precision and global reach. This isn't about a single crime. It's about a systematic removal of obstacles, a silent consolidation of power. The ghost from your past, the mastermind of this intricate dance, must be at the very heart of this organization, pulling these strings. For a comms device. He's calling for backup, for more of the organization's silent protectors. This is no longer just a search, it's a confrontation. The vastness of their resources isn't just in their data or their influence, but in their omnipresent eyes and their swift, decisive action. The mystery deepens, but so does the understanding of the colossal force you are up against. This isn't a puzzle you can solve alone in a quiet office. This is a war, and you've just announced your presence on the battlefield. The salt-laced wind, a phantom caress from the unseen ocean, whips at your coat as you step from the vehicle. No sirens wail, no flashing lights announce your presence. A quiet infiltration is the current directive, a silent ballet of calculated risk. You called for backup, yes, but the silence that greets you here, the absence of immediate reinforcement, prickles your skin like static electricity. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of aged paper and expensive cleaner. You move through the hushed corridors, your footsteps muted by plush carpet, a predator in a realm of pristine order. The receptionist, a figure of poised composure, merely nods, her gaze devoid of surprise as you identify yourself. It's almost as if you were expected. This quietude, this lack of alarm, feels less like efficiency and more like a carefully constructed stage. You find the information broker in a back office, a space cluttered with overflowing file boxes and a half-empty mug of cooling coffee. He gestures to a holographic display floating above a desk, a complex web of financial transactions and coded communications. The CEO, he begins, his finger tracing a line of data. He wasn't just missing. He was systematically erased. Every digital footprint, every physical trace meticulously scrubbed. This isn't a kidnapping. It's an unmaking. You lean closer, your gaze sweeping across the data. And the low-level crimes, the petty thefts, the data breaches. The information broker sighs, running a hand through his thinning hair. Connected. All of them. Each one a thread in a much larger tapestry. I've been digging Blake deep into the core, following the digital breadcrumbs. He pushes a file across the desk, a slim manila folder with no markings. This, I believe, is the key. A ledger, hidden within a shell corporation. It points to a series of phantom accounts, all linked to a single, untraceable entity. Your fingers close around the folder. The paper feels cool, almost too light. You open it, your eyes scanning the dense columns of figures, dates, and cryptic codes. This isn't just a ledger. It's a financial narrative of deception, detailing transfers that align perfectly with the timeline of the low-level crimes you've been tracking. But something about the neatness, the almost poetic precision of the entries, sets off a silent alarm within you. The information broker, usually a whirlwind of frantic energy, seems unnervingly calm. Where did you find this, you ask, your voice carefully neutral. Deep. They didn't want this found. His eyes, usually shifty and darting, hold an uncharacteristic stillness fixed on your face. You look from the ledger to the broker, a ripple of unease tightening your gut. The air in the room, once stale, now feels charged, heavy with unspoken truths. You've been working this lead for weeks. Why only now bring it to me? His smile widens, a slow, predatory curve. Because now, Blake, the pieces are all in place. The quiet office, the receptionist's knowing nod, the absent backup. It all coalesces into a horrifying picture. He chuckles, a dry, rustling sound. Not entirely, my friend. I merely facilitated. With that ledger in your hand. He steps away from the desk, moving towards one of the large shred bins. His movements deliberate. He wanted you to see the truth, Blake, to understand the depth of his reach, the precision of his vengeance. He reaches into his pocket, pulling out a small, encrypted device, not unlike the one you carry. He taps a sequence, and the holographic display shifts, no longer showing financial data, but a single grainy photograph. Your breath catches in your throat. It's a picture of a man, younger, his face etched with a fierce, intelligent intensity. A man you knew, a man you believed long gone, lost to the consequences of a case that scarred your early career. The mastermind, the face from your past. Impossible, you breathe. the word a desperate plea against the crushing weight of reality. He was gone. The information broker shakes his head, a grim satisfaction in his eyes. No one is truly gone, Blake, especially when they have an axe to grind. And his axe, my friend, is honed to a razor's edge thanks to you. He gestures back to the ledger in your hand. That isn't just a financial record. It's a blueprint. Every transaction, every low-level crime, was a step towards a single audacious goal. Not just revenge on you, but the complete dismantling of everything you stand for. The CEO wasn't a victim. He was the final crucial component in a system designed to expose the old secrets you buried so meticulously, to bring down the very foundations of your world. The truth hits you with the force of a physical blow. The mastermind isn't just seeking personal retribution. He's orchestrating an intricate socioeconomic collapse, using the missing CEO and a network of seemingly insignificant crimes as his instruments. And your trusted ally has been his willing accomplice, leading you into the heart of the storm. The vastness of their resources isn't just in their data. It's in their ability to twist loyalty, to corrupt, to turn the very people you rely on into weapons against you. The sound of footsteps echoes from the corridor outside, not the measured tread of your backup, but something heavier, more numerous. The door behind you swings open, revealing two hulking figures, their faces impassive, their intent clear. You are caught. The ledger, now a damning piece of evidence, feels like a lead weight in your hand. The betrayal stings, a bitter poison in your veins, but the shock of the mastermind's true identity and the apocalyptic scope of his plan leaves you utterly, terrifyingly exposed. The truth, once a fragmented mosaic, now coalesces into a single monstrous image, searing itself onto your mind. The corrupted investigator, your trusted shadow, a willing instrument in this grand, malevolent symphony. The betrayal stings, not just as a professional wound, but as a personal gash, deep and festering. You see now the subtle glances, the carefully steered conversations, the way certain leads evaporated under the corrupted investigator's watchful eye. Every shared coffee, every late-night strategy session, tainted by the bitter aftertaste of deceit. A tremor of memory, a discarded data stick from the investigator's desk catches your attention. It was labeled innocuously, old case notes. But now, under the harsh light of revelation, it screams its true purpose. A single encrypted file. Your fingers, steady despite the internal tremor, unlock its secrets. The city hums outside, oblivious to the precipice upon which it teeters. You move with a purpose born of desperation, your every step heavy with the weight of impending disaster. Its polished facade belies the rot within. Entry is a brutal necessity, a lock picked with practiced ease, a silent breach of security born of an urgent, terrifying conviction. The air inside is still, cold, pregnant with secrets. The scent of ozone and stale paper hangs heavy, a grim prelude to the revelations awaiting you. Your gaze sweeps the pristine interior, landing on a row of oversized shred bins, their maw-like openings promising oblivion for countless documents. You plunge your hands into the shredded confetti, the fine strips of paper clinging to your fingers like morbid ticker tape. Patience, a forgotten virtue in this frantic race, guides you. Piece by agonizing piece, you begin to reconstruct the fragments. Half-torn financial ledgers emerge, revealing dizzying sums funneled through shell corporations. Names of obscure yet vital infrastructure firms, energy grids, communication networks, all linked to these phantom entities. The low-level crimes, once thought random, were mere tremors, testing the fault lines, mapping the weaknesses in the city's very foundation. A heavy, reinforced door, almost seamlessly integrated into the wall, draws your attention. A vault, a safe, humming with a low, almost imperceptible thrum. Fingers fly across the keypad, a combination of intuition and desperate memory. The tumblers click with a resonant thud, and the heavy door swings inward, revealing the heart of the conspiracy. Inside, a stark tableau. Not just paper, but a secure tablet, its screen glowing with an ominous real-time countdown. Beside it, a meticulously rendered schematic of the global financial network, nodes highlighted in a pulsating crimson. The missing tech CEO's face flashes on a smaller display, their image distorted, overlaid with biometric data and access codes. The CEO isn't merely a victim. They are the linchpin, their unique digital footprint, their unparalleled access, the final unwitting trigger for the architect's ultimate design. Among the files, a faded photograph, yellowed with age, slips from a leather-bound folder. Your breath catches. A face from your own past. A ghost long thought buried. The old adversary, the architect of ruin. Not a simple man seeking personal revenge, but a visionary of chaos, a twisted idealist bent on a global reset. The figure you believed vanquished years ago, a specter from a catastrophic project, is not only alive but has been weaving this intricate web for years, patiently, silently, pulling the strings of the corrupted investigator and countless others like puppets in a macabre theater. A coordinated, multi-pronged attack on the very pillars of the global financial system, triggered by the tech CEO's forced activation. The plan is in its final, irreversible stages. Once initiated, there will be no stopping the domino effect. The air in the sterile office thickens, heavy with the weight of impending doom. You snatch the tablet, the photograph, the irrefutable evidence of a world teetering on the brink. The world hangs by a thread, and you are the only one who sees the fraying strands. A desperate, solitary race against time begins, the city's fate resting precariously in your hands. Fluorescent lights hum with an indifferent drone, casting sharp, unforgiving shadows across polished marble and frosted glass. You move through the silent corridors, your footsteps echoing unnaturally loud on the pristine floor. It's a gamble, a desperate lunge into the heart of the beast, but the alternative is surrender, and that is a word your lexicon refuses to acknowledge. It's the sound of a heavy door closing, then opening, then closing again. You round a corner, a breath held captive in your chest, and there he is, the corrupted investigator. He stands before a towering bank of industrial-grade shred bins, each maw gaping, ready to devour paper and perhaps truth. His back is to you, broad and unyielding, a silhouette against the dull gleam of a locked safe embedded in the far wall. The betrayal from the last encounter, a festering wound, now throbs with renewed intensity. You knew I'd come, you state, your voice cutting through the manufactured quiet, devoid of the tremor you feel deep inside. He turns slowly, his movements deliberate, almost theatrical. A ghost of a smile plays on his lips, a grimace that twists the features you once trusted. Of course, you always follow the scent, Blake. The last of it is almost gone. He gestures vaguely towards the shred bins, a dismissive flick of his wrist. Your gaze snaps to the shred bins, then to the locked safe. The critical intel, the final piece of the puzzle, must be in one of them. What is this? A last-ditch effort to erase everything? You press, your voice taut, a wire stretched to its breaking point. More like tying up loose ends, he replies, his voice laced with an unsettling calm. He takes a step towards you, his hands rising slightly, palms open in a gesture of false surrender. Consider it a clean slate, for everyone involved. Not everyone, you counter, taking a step forward yourself. A willing cog in their machine. He laughs, a short, humorless bark that scrapes against your ears. A cog? I'm an architect, Blake. I saw the blueprint, understood the true scope. It's about reshaping the future, and some collateral damage is necessary. Collateral damage? You snarl, the word a bitter taste. You call lives, families, futures, collateral damage? A small price for a grand vision? He shrugs, his eyes flickering towards the safe. It's a tell, a momentary lapse in his composure. The intel is behind that door. You lunge, not at him, but past him, towards the safe. You know the combination won't be simple, but time is a luxury you don't possess. As your fingers brush the cold metal, a heavy hand clamps down on your shoulder, yanking you back with surprising force. He's stronger than you remember, fueled by a conviction that twists his every muscle. The confrontation ignites. It's not a dance, but a brutal, desperate grapple. He moves with a trained efficiency, honed by years in the field, now turned against you. His elbow connects with your jaw, a sharp crack that sends stars exploding behind your eyes. You taste blood, metallic and hot. You retaliate, a knee driving into his gut, forcing a grunt from him, but he doesn't falter. He's relentless, a ghost from your past now fully manifested as an adversary. Papers scatter, an avalanche of forgotten data. He aims a punch at your head, but you duck, twisting, and drive your own fist into his ribs. He grunts again, but his grip remains like iron. He's trying to incapacitate you, to buy time, to finish the erasure. It's over, Blake, he hisses, his breath ragged, his face contorted in effort. He activates it, and the soft hum of the office electronics seems to deepen, a subtle shift in the air pressure. You see his hand, free for a split second, moving towards the safe's keypad. He's not just guarding it. He's attempting to input a final sequence, to perhaps wipe its contents remotely, or trigger a timed self-destruct. The thought galvanizes you. The intel, the culmination of your entire investigation, is poised on the brink of oblivion. A surge of adrenaline floods your veins. You twist violently, breaking his hold, but not without consequence. His hand, as it slips, rakes a sharp edge across your forearm. A searing pain blooms, and a warm wetness spreads rapidly through your sleeve. You ignore it, the red blossoming on your shirt a mere detail. You throw yourself at the safe, placing your body between him and the keypad. He lunges again, aiming a kick at your side. You brace, taking the full impact, a sharp, stabbing agony blossoming in your ribs. A gasp escapes your lips, but you hold your ground, your arm outstretched, shielding the keypad. The location, you rasp, your voice strained, your vision blurring at the edges. Where is the final meeting? He falters, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. He hadn't expected you to speak, to ask, to push past the pain. His next move is hesitant, a fraction of a second too slow. In that fleeting moment, you see it. A small, almost imperceptible tremor in his hand, a brief glance towards the shred bins, then back to you. The old dock warehouse, he spits, the words forced from him, a desperate gambit to distract you, to regain control. Tonight, the intel, a location, the final gathering. It's everything you needed. But the cost. He uses your momentary lapse, your mind grappling with the information, to land a brutal blow to your head. The world spins, colors bleed, and you crumple to the floor, your arm still instinctively shielding the safe, though the immediate threat to its contents seems to have passed. Through the haze, you see him standing over you, his chest heaving, his face a mask of grim determination, tinged with something akin to regret, or perhaps just exasperation. He doesn't press the attack, doesn't finish you. Instead, he retrieves something small and metallic from a hidden pocket. A device, not a weapon. He presses it against the safe, and a low hum resonates through the office. A data transfer, or a final lockdown. The throbbing pain. The blood seeps, warm and insistent, through your sleeve. Your head throbs. Your ribs scream with every shallow breath. But in your mind, a new image forms. An old dock warehouse, shrouded in the night. The sacrifice was heavy, the betrayal a gaping wound, but the path forward, though perilous, is now clear. You push yourself up, Slowly, agonizingly, the name of that place a burning ember in your soul, guiding you towards the inevitable climax. The world, a kaleidoscope of bruised purples and angry reds, slowly coalesces, hardening into the jagged edges of reality. A metallic tang coats your tongue, a phantom echo of the blow. The pain throbs behind your eyes, a relentless drummer, but beneath it, a singular purpose burns, clear and sharp. The intel, the location, the final gathering. He left you with a fractured skull, but also a map. You push yourself up, each movement a protest from your battered frame. The chill of the warehouse floor seeps into your bones as you stumble, hands finding purchase on a stack of forgotten crates. The air is still thick with the scent of dust and stale industry. He is gone. The architect of your torment, the puppeteer of this intricate, cruel design, has slipped away, leaving only a bruised silence and the urgent whisper of a final destination. Your vision blurs at the periphery, a constant reminder of the recent assault, but your focus remains a laser beam. The city blurs into a backdrop of muted grays and golds, each passing block bringing you closer to the precipice. The destination, an isolated structure overlooking the churning sea, a fortress of glass and steel, the offshore law office with shred bins and locked safes. Its very name hums with secrets, a repository of illicit transactions and buried truths. The building stands stark against the pre-dawn sky, a silent sentinel. No lights betray activity, yet a prickle of certainty guides you. The main entrance, a formidable expanse of reinforced glass, yields to a familiar, almost surgical precision. A quick sweep of the periphery, a silent prayer for unseen passage, and you are inside, a phantom in the hushed, cavernous lobby. The air is cool, sterile, smelling faintly of ozone and expensive paper. Each office door is a closed mouth, guarding its own counsel, until you reach the floor indicated by the intel. A faint glow emanates from beneath a door at the far end, a beacon in the gloom. Pushing it open, you step into a sprawling executive suite. And there, silhouetted against the nascent light of dawn, stands the mastermind. Predictable, even. Your breath catches. The face, the voice, it's impossible. Yet, here he stands, the ghost from your past, the one you had buried under layers of regret and professional distance. You thought it was over, that the system had done its job. But the system, Blake, is a blunt instrument. It prunes the branches, but never truly uproots the weed. He gestures to the room around him. This office, these files, these shred bins and locked safes, this is where the true rot resides. The tech CEO, a mere pawn. The embezzler, the man who ruined hundreds of lives, including mine. You put him away. A triumph, they called it. But he walked free, didn't he? A technicality. His lawyers, funded by the very wealth he stole, found a loophole. And you moved on, satisfied with your victory. The revelation hits you like a second blow. The Darrow case. The injustice that had gnawed at you for years. The one that had shown you the cracks in the justice system. He went free because of the evidence tampering. The CEO. Darrow was just the fall guy, the public face. Then ensured his eventual freedom to keep him quiet. He sweeps his hand across a large monitor displaying complex flowcharts and encrypted data. The low-level crimes you've been chasing? Not random acts of desperation, Blake. Each one was a meticulously placed domino. The data breaches, harvesting information on the CEO's vulnerabilities, his hidden accounts, his proxies. The corporate espionage, acquiring the very tools needed to dismantle his empire. The disappearances of his key associates. Not abductions, Blake. They were simply relocated. Given new identities, new lives, in exchange for their cooperation. They were the ones who truly knew where the bodies were buried, figuratively speaking. He pauses, allowing the weight of his words to settle. I spent years rebuilding, watching, learning. The system failed me, Blake. It failed all those people Darrow and the CEO defrauded. So I built my own system, one that doesn't rely on judges or juries, one that ensures true accountability. You stare at him, the pieces of the puzzle clicking into place with sickening clarity. The seemingly disparate threads, the random acts, the high-profile disappearance, all converging into a single, terrifying tapestry woven by a man driven by a profound sense of betrayal and a twisted vision of justice. His revenge wasn't just against the CEO. It was against the very system you represented, the system he believed had failed him. By extension, you. And you thought I wouldn't see it? You challenge, your voice hoarse but firm. You thought you could hide behind your elaborate schemes, your perfect plan? He chuckles, a dry, mirthless sound. I knew you would pursue, Blake. That was part of the design. Your relentless pursuit, your dogged determination. It made the unveiling all the more satisfying. To show you personally the true cost of your blind faith in a broken system. He moves to a desk, picking up a heavy, leather-bound ledger. This, he declares, is the final ledger. Every name, every transaction, every dirty secret of the CEO's network, and it's all about to be irrevocably erased. He gestures towards a large industrial shredder, its maw gaping, waiting. The air crackles with an electric tension, the dawn light filtering through the windows illuminating the dust motes dancing in the space between you. The scent of impending destruction hangs heavy. The climax of his elaborate play, the final act of his revenge, is about to begin. And you, Blake, are standing on the stage, a lone figure against the echoes of a shared, painful past, with only moments to stop him. The industrial shredder's hunger purred, a mechanical beast awakening. Its maw, a dark promise of oblivion, gaped wide. The air thrummed with the anticipation of metal on metal, of paper tearing into oblivion. This was it, the climax of his elaborate, bitter symphony. Before his final venomous words could fully bloom on the air, you move. A burst of raw instinct, a surge of adrenaline carving a path through the tension. You vault over a stack of discarded crates, the heavy thud of your boots echoing in the vast space. The mastermind's eyes, alight with manic glee, widen in surprise, then narrow into slits of pure fury. He lunges, a desperate, flailing attempt to intercept, to ensure his final act played out undisturbed. You sidestep his clumsy charge, a blur of motion, your hand already reaching for the emergency shutoff, a bright red beacon against the grime-streaked control panel. Your fingers connect, a satisfying click, and the hungry hum of the shredder chokes, then dies. He crumples, a defeated heap, his grand design crumbling around him. The other officers, their movements precise and swift, converge. You turn to the conveyor. There, nestled precariously close to the silent blades, lies the tech CEO. A wave of exhaustion washes over you, heavy and profound, but beneath it, a quiet satisfaction begins to bloom. The immediate threat averted. The following hours blur into a whirlwind of statements, evidence collection, and the methodical dismantling of a complex web. His silence was a defiant wall, but the truth, like a persistent current, found its way through the cracks. The low-level crimes, the seemingly random acts of petty sabotage and digital pilfering, had been a meticulously orchestrated prelude. Each one a thread, subtly weakening the CEO's corporate empire, creating vulnerabilities, shifting the landscape for the final devastating blow. The mastermind's revenge was not just about money, but about reputation, legacy, and the brutal dismantling of the life he believed had usurped his own. The air is dry, smelling faintly of paper and disinfectant, a stark contrast to the grit and oil of the warehouse. the evidence that ties the CEO directly to the original fraud. You run a hand over the cool steel of a shred bin, its contents a potential graveyard for vital information. The mastermind had planned for every contingency, including the rapid destruction of incriminating documents. But you were faster. A forensic accountant, a young woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper intellect, works methodically at one of the locked safes. Her tools glint under the harsh light. Then, a soft thud. The heavy door swings inward, revealing stacks of meticulously organized folders. You reach inside, pulling out a thick file. Its cover bears a faded corporate logo, unfamiliar yet resonating with a faint sense of recognition. Inside, the names, the dates, the financial transfers, all laid bare. The precise, damning record of the CEO's original sin, the very act that had set the mastermind on his path of retribution. This was the blueprint for the CEO's downfall, the leverage that had allowed the mastermind to manipulate him, to orchestrate his public disappearance, not just as a final act of revenge, but as a calculated move to collapse his empire and reclaim what he felt was stolen. The tension, which had been a constant companion, finally begins to recede, replaced by a quiet, profound weariness. The case is closed. The conspiracy unraveled. Justice in its intricate, often brutal form has been served. Later, as the city lights begin to glitter outside your apartment window, you pour a drink, the amber liquid swirling in the glass. You think of the mastermind, now behind bars, his intricate plan undone. You think of the CEO, safe but forever marked by the ordeal, his reputation in tatters, his empire a crumbling edifice. You have grown, perhaps, but the victory is not unburdened. The personal cost lingers, a subtle ache in your bones, a new line etched around your eyes. You stare into the city's vast and different sprawl, a universe of anonymous lives and untold secrets. And you, Blake, will always be watching.